this is a new study that was just released this morning that I found really interesting.
Yes.
They looked at the seropositivity of dairy cows and beef cows too, 1,724 samples, and they found
Mhm.
33.99% were seropositive for influenza A viruses. Now it's important, and they didn't find any seropositive for H5N1, but they did find that they had human seasonal flu viruses, H1N1, H3N2, swine influenza viruses,
The cows
H3.
had human oh, hold on a second. You're
Yeah.
going the cows had human flu?
They had antibodies to human flu and swine flus in there.
Wow. I did not
So,
did that surprise you at all?
I mean, not really, honestly, because but it surprised these researchers. I had heard from dairy vets in the past that they're like, "Oh, yeah, dairy cows get influenza viruses all the time." And I'm like, this was, just conversations that came up after the H5N1 thing, and I'm like, "It wasn't on my radar." And I guess
Mhm.
on these researchers' radars either, uh, because they were kind of surprised by these findings, it seemed, by what they wrote. Um, and you might be, like, wondering why weren't there any H5N1 antibodies? Well, the majority of these samples came from Missouri, and Missouri doesn't have any H5N1 positive herds there. So
Okay.
but it kinda points out, like, we need to just be looking for these viruses in dairy cows a little bit more, and I
Yeah, but
wonder, like,
lem
can these dairy cows transmit the human seasonal flu back
that's what I was gonna ask you. That was my next question.
Yeah,
Are people getting the flu from cows? That would make so much sense to me.
like, I feel like there's so many interesting things we could be looking at, but instead, like, all of our researchers are stuck in the labs, like, testing mice for various things, like
Oh,
doing
that's true
knockout
too,
mice
isn't it,
studies.
Crystal? It's never even crossed my mind that like, cows are giving the human flu, that they're, like, storing it for us. They're like, we're like a bank account for viruses, and we had to make a withdrawal every year in the winter.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to look at this more because we know that the influenza viruses concentrate in high concentrations in the milk,
Yeah.
and we know the milking parlors, you have aerosolized the milk that gets into the eyes and the nose of the workers. Yeah, it's interesting, like, you look at this graph, it's like it's year round, it looks like. The red is positive here. Um Seems
Po
to hit really big in November. We always get our flu vaccines in October
Yep.
usually.
Yep. Mhm.
So that's what's
These are
interesting.
just American cows. So
Yeah.
we get it in October because in other parts of the world, they're getting hit earlier,
I mean, this study needs to be done in California, dairy cows. We need
for
to
sure.
know that. And I hope this is a study that's done on a regular basis. And we look at this and we look at the workers too. If we do sequence these viruses,
Mm.
can we determine how this is being spread?
So what did they have, Crystal? They had I mean, I'm sorry, you blew my mind about the, human influenza, the just regular old flu. What were the other ones that they found? They found bird flu, swine flu, and what else?
No, they didn't actually find any bird flu. It
Oh,
was
no bird flu,
mostly
right.
human flu, human seasonal flu, and the swine flu. So,
S What an
which is
interesting chart that is. What it like, I don't even know how to look at a graph like that. What am I looking at here?
so figure 4, this is a Venn diagram of the positive cow serum samples against human and swine influenzas.
Yeah.
So you have what they tested positive for. Some of them tested positive for multiple ones. I hope we can get more about this and they don't stop looking at it.
Which researchers did this?
The study was supported by the Centers of Excellence in Influenza Research
Mm,
and response funded by NAIAID, the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture Animal Health Project.
okay.
There you go. But, also very interesting that
Cows
they
with
would
the flu.
look at mostly cows in Missouri where there were no H5N1. So that's disappointing that we didn't get more, samples from herds where there was H5N1.
Yeah, like Texas would be a good place to start. That's down there. I mean, Texas is big dairy state. When we went to the talk in VMX, that was a Texas dairy cattleman
Mhm.
talking to us about how
And I wonder
easily
if it's like they just don't want to if they're not willing to test